I'm Sam Eckert, Exhibition Manager, and I'm delighted to introduce the artists speaking today, Heidi Broner and Chris Papa. We will begin with Heidi, who will speak first. After a short break, we'll move into the Mayor Gallery to hear about Chris's exhibition. Please feel free to ask questions once we get started. But first, let me provide some background information on these two inspiring artists. Heidi Broner was raised in a family of artists where drawing and painting were integral parts of her daily life. In addition to painting, Heidi has illustrated books, designed and painted murals, and spent many years working with bread and puppet theater as both an artist and performer. In 1999, she began her career in the granite industry, specializing in hand engraving custom drawings directly onto black stone. Working alongside skilled stone craftsmen in the granite sheds has deepened her appreciation for the qualities of skill, patience, and focus, traits that are essential for those working in the trades. Heidi's artwork has been collected by both private individuals and corporations. I always get nervous doing this. I'm an introvert. So thanks for being here with me. So now we have Chris. Chris Papa is a sculptor and printmaker. He has exhibited work throughout the US, Mexico, and Taiwan. And he has received awards including a 4-Culture Individual Artist Grant, inclusion in the King County Public Art Collection, and the Seattle Public Utilities Emerging Artist Commission. Chris Papa received an MFA in sculpture from the Rhode Island School of Design in 2015. He attended the Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture in 2014 and received a full fellowship for a residency at the Vermont Studio Center in 2012. His studio is in Montpelier, Vermont. Incidentally, Chris works here part-time at AVA as our fabulous exhibition installer. Yeah. So we're going to start with Heidi. So please welcome Heidi Broner.
Hello, thanks for coming. I don't want to bore you with my technique unless anybody has questions about it, which we'll get to. But I want to talk about how I develop a painting from a photograph that I take to a finished painting which doesn't really look like the photograph. So I carry a camera around with me. I want to paint people, but I don't want to paint somebody posing. I find that the posture, gesture, everything in a person, just the way they hold their shoulders, will change, even if they know that I'm taking my picture. And it makes a big difference. Without that self-consciousness, people have a much deeper grace that I really like to see and I like to go into it. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the idea of painting from a photograph. They feel it's a frozen thing. To me, it's not. It's alive. It's like I'm spiraling down into the moment, into that moment, further and further, and I'm seeing more and more the farther I go into it. So that's a real pleasure for me. And I recommend it. Even if you're not going to paint it. It's a kind of a deep, deep focus. So I start with a photo, like I'm going to use this as an example. This had a lot of clutter, everything in the background, cars going by, signs, debris on the sidewalk, and stuff like that. So what I liked was the vigorous motion of this young man and what else he was putting into it, to my mind, besides just the job. It was like hangers hand. And I really enjoyed that. So I got rid of everything in the background. I didn't know what the background was going to be at first. first. So I start with I draw it in, and then I do an underpainting in burnt sienna. And then I start laying layers of color. I paint in acrylic. So acrylic it dries really quickly, and it's very good for laying down very thin layers. And as I go, I might want to change some things, like this hand was a little too small. I know it still looks small, but it's farther away from the camera. So I had to make that a little bit bigger. The face on this guy was not his face. It wasn't even visible. So I went and made up an actual face for him that I thought fit his attitude and emotion. But then the background, I just wanted it to glow the way his energy was glowing. And that's sort of a simplistic, I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't trying to illustrate energy. I just wanted to have this yellow hair. And I just kept going with that. I truly don't know what I'm doing when I'm painting this kind of a background, or, you know, that kind of a background. I don't know for the one with the row of men there. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just doing, this feels right. This is the color I want to see. So, but then I also like to, if you look at this later, I like to cut little brush strokes, just tuck them in, of complementary colors and just bright colors that can talk to each other within the painting. So to me, that's really another fun part. The actual drawing and a lot of the painting, there's a lot of tedious work in there. It's just work. But then when I get to that stage, it's just a lot of fun. The subjects, I didn't start out to say, I want to paint people working, but because I wanted to paint people, and I didn't want to paint a posed picture, and I wanted to get pictures of people, what I saw around me was what I could paint. Everything you see here was just what was really just there. And then my own, what I was seeing. So now I think I've explained that pretty much, and I'd like to open up to questions. Anybody wants to ask anything? Gail.
How many of these are flood related? How many of these workers were working during flood? Clearly she was.
Just this one.
Just these guns that were buckets of dirt might be too.
That was a burn site. That was in Mary. This big building had burned down, and these guys were cleaning it up afterwards. It was just after winter ended. The snow was barely gone. So I thought it was really interesting visually and what they were doing.
Can you talk about your process of making your painting as far as like you're working with acrylic paints? And we talked about this a little bit because they have this quality that they come off as an oil painting to me in a lot of areas.
Okay, so I started out, I used to paint in oil, but I was also using pastel. And pastel, you're layering a lot of different colors and you're cross-hatching different colors that vibrate against each other. So I didn't want the fumes from oil, and I started using acrylic, and I found that I could paint a lot of thin layers, and the underneath layers could glow through and make a more complex color. I could also lay on top of it. I can show you this. I started out with pretty much this color, burnt sienna, but I also needed to put in some deeper colors. There's blue in here that is just thinly laid on. And you can even see underneath it, underneath some of it, you can still see that burnt sienna. But there's also reflection colors. And this is a dry brush, right? So this goes on over it. But because of the texture of the canvas, it'll still show the underpainting, the warm tone underneath it. This shirt here, lots of different cadmium colors in there. But then I also had the shadows, this nice blue is a complementary color. So that to me that really does vibrate against that. And I just really appreciate like this also had a completely burnt sienna underpainting. It was all burnt sienna. So when I start, I will put the darker colors and I use this color called maroon to darken that burnt sienna as the first step to go darker. I want to have the lights and darks marked out so that even if it's a black and white photo of the painting can still work. That's not the only way to do a painting. I also like some people work in this way where they have just these flat colors against each other and they seem to come out like a seed. And that's a really wonderful technique too. But this is my technique. So.
What catches your eye and moves you to say, this is something I'd like to paint? And you mentioned the restaurant painting is on the roof of the Wayside. How did you even see them up there?
I was driving by and I turned around and he stopped. He said, "That's great." He was flapping his thing around and he was walking around. I took like maybe 8 or 10 photos of him doing that. And I made 2 paintings out of it. One was small. But that one, I loved the sign. I wanted the sign in there. I loved the way the man was moving. He was graceful. He was powerful. And I just responded to it.
Yeah, I love the physicality of them all. You just feel their bodies, like you were saying you loved the movement.
Yeah.
And they all have that, I feel like when I leave, I can move better. Especially bending down.
Well, sometimes I just like the focus. Like, here's this woman, this was in New York City, across the street from my dad's place. And she was a cleaning lady that was in there. She was just doing her work all day. Then she was going to go home. But I loved the way she looked. This is called Bright Spot. I think she's the bright spot. And I have all these little bits of color in here that you can't see from that distance, but if you come up and look at it, to me those are her thoughts as she's doing it. Because she's doing, a task, but we've all done this. Our mind is all over the place.
Have any of them seen themselves, their painting, the final, or do they know why you're taking their photo too? You don't tell them that.
I don't want them to know. I usually take it from a distance for 2 reasons. One reason is I don't want them to see me. That's probably why you don't see their faces very much. But the other reason is because if you're too close to a subject, it's distorted. The camera distorts it. So I like to be a ways off. I think this man, his name is, I met him. He's in our area.
Oh, the
Yeah.
stone wall mason, it looks familiar.
Yeah. he has seen that painting because it was up in the hospital at CMC. But I don't know if you liked it. Okay, see the guy spotting one? He has seen that
Never ask my opinion.
I wish I knew who this woman was. To me, she was like a heroine. This was like after the 23 flood up here. And it was such a terrible time. It was just tragic, you know. And we were all like walking around like zombies, but also working like zombies. Oh yeah, that's right. This girl, this young woman, she's not a girl, she was a farrier. I made a smaller version of this first, and her father saw it and bought it. So she hasn't seen this particular version of it.
I just want to make a comment. It is really hard to pull off a painting that's divided right through the middle. It's really hard to do it, and you aced it.
I like I didn't know at first why I liked that pole, but I really wanted it in there, I liked it. And then the more I worked on it, the more I understood why I liked it. It was this pole of like this standing up straight, sort of anchoring everything. And it was such a tough time. I mean, we were all like scraping out people's basements, and it was filthy, and there was like debris like lining all the sidewalks. You probably know, probably seen this. But I just loved that she was just going there, just keeping on going. And I wish I knew who that was. So, this is actually across the street from that. And he's working on a similar post.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Maybe you answered this question already, but do you work from photographs?
I do. I take my own photos, and I don't like the people to know that I'm taking the photos because,
Sure.
as I said, it makes it more subconscious. Of course. But I don't know if that's ethical, but whatever. I think street photography is a thing, so.
Yes, I think it's okay.
So,
Well, you can't really identify anybody facially.
yeah, and I don't take pictures of children because I'm afraid I'll get arrested. They're lovely.
So you make sketches? Do you make lots of sketches?
No.
No.
I take the photo, I crop it the way, I take a long time to decide how I want it. In fact, I'll take a photo with all the junk in the background and with all the chaos in it. But I'll project it onto a wall in different sizes to see the size that I want. Because size is as much an element of a painting as anything else is, you know, the color or the design of it. So, but the size really is an element.
So you talked about doing both small and large of a number of paintings.
Yeah.
That's something you like to do.
Sometimes I do it as a study, or sometimes I just do a small painting and think, this has to be bigger, you know? It needs to be larger. And I'll do that.
I like your choice of doing, full scale. I really like the littles mixed in. You get smart. It's for the viewer to come in and come back.
That's interesting. I think I like doing that. And I like working on a small piece, but I also really love working on a large piece. So this piece, when I was working on this, I was seeing this as, the more I worked on it, see, a lot of the time when I'm working on something, I start seeing something else in it. So in this one, I felt like it was this man struggling with his shadow self. And I wanted the shadow to be brighter than the man. And to me this was, because none of my paintings are big paintings in today's art world. But this one was big enough for me to be, when I'm working on it, to be affected physically by the colors. And I felt like it was an experience like a lot of people have when they're, parachuting or that kind of an experience. So.
And I love how he's making contact with his shadow. I think that's pretty great.
Yeah. I liked that. And his tape measure flopped over.
Yeah.
You all know what that's like.
Someone I was in the gallery with a couple weeks ago thought that your paintings were surrealistic.
Really?
Do you experience them that way at all? I mean, I think he thought it was because of some of the color choices. For example, that one, or that one of the street sweeper, the bright yellow-orange in the background was like surreal.
They're sort of removed from reality with all of the background.
Yeah.
I think it's more like I'm paying attention to, I'm painting the focus of the person. Like that man over there, it's wearing brick. He's so focused. And there was this huge clutter of chairs and tables behind him. But he was just in his space. So I think that's more what I'm seeing than that. I do, a lot of times see another meaning in things, but I think that's personal, And I love it if somebody else sees something totally different. So. Yeah.
Anyone else? Questions?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
I just want to say a little something about the sculpture in general, and then I'll kind of go around and we can talk about the pieces. And ask the questions, it's not a lecture, so anytime I want to interrupt, that's good. So a sculpture to me is kind of a history of decisions and kind of a record of everything that's been done to create the thing. So that's kind of all in there, and I kind of mean for it to be read. So I'm always thinking about how the sculpture just kind of works, how it's an active thing, and how a viewer has to get in there and look at it and kind of think about what's going on. At least I hope they do that. And as part of that, I kind of try to get these things to work at on different levels, but just at different distances also. So, from a little bit far off, I want it to have an impact. That'll mostly, be visual, maybe compositional also. But then I also want people to be drawn in to take a look at this stuff that it's made of and the way that it's assembled. What else have I got here? Mostly that. And on the way over here, I remembered this Greek philosopher Anybody heard of Anaxagoras? Nope. Yeah, he's a really obscure one. So he had this theory that everything is in everything. So he says all things possess a portion of everything. So all the matter out there, there's a little bit of it in every single thing. The only way it's differentiated is some things have more of whatever it is than all the other stuff. So like a diamond has more diamond in it than everything else in the world. But that's sort of applicable to what's going on here, where I try to collect as many materials as I can come up with and just jam them into every piece in a more limited set of ways of assembling, different techniques for putting things together. So, this one, in terms of the right page here, this is one of the earliest ones I did on this new group. In the past, I've been using a lot of found objects, and they were kind of put together into these things that were kind of more amorphous chunks. No real definite form, no representation in them. So this whole body of work is a switch for me. So I was trying to apply my old ideas to new forms that are actually recognizable. And this is one of the first ones. It was built around a shell that I made out of plastic wrap and packaging tape around my body. Most of these are based off of me, one way or another. And then that form got stuffed with whatever was laying around the studio. And then I built this form around it, just kind of brick by brick. It's basically masonry, and with a kind of mortar in there. And another rule for my new work was that I had to make everything that was going into it, or manipulate any material that I used. So each little piece here is cast or folded up or kind of conglomerated, stuck together, poured, cut out of resin that I made, like different composites of different stuff thrown together. So it's it's kind of a composite of a bunch of composites. And just built up like a wall, all the way around, takes forever. And you get one of these in the end. And one thing I like about it is that it's a shell. You know, it's hollow in there. So it's a skin, or it's armor, or I don't know. But I like the fact that it's a surface and it's also an object.
It's also what?
An object, a thing. It's a thing, but it's also kind of just the outside, the image. I don't have anything else to say about that.
So you made every little piece of that
Yeah.
out of something, out of ceramic or tile?
I don't know if there's any ceramic in this one, but ceramic-like things, definitely. And some previous sculptures. A lot of old work comes into these.
And you said found objects, so you're...
They're out. No more found objects.
No more.
But if I found something, I could pound it into dust and then reassemble it. Something like that. But that is a different version of this idea, where all the materials that go into it are really, fine or, liquids. It's kind of like a tincture added to plastic. So I made another lot of a plastic mold. I did that, but I actually used it as a mold here, and was just combining the stuff I was finding, which were things like markers and weeds and just stuff around the house, like tea or wine or anything. And mix that with the plastic, poured into the mold, and the molds were different sections of the mold. So I had to build it up piece by piece. But this is kind of a simpler version of kind of getting everything into everything with this. And the thing I like about that is the striping corresponding to geological strata. And what else was there? Yeah, it's just kind of an earthy thing within the feet, the legs, contact with the ground. And these molds obviously aren't really detailed. They're kind of meant to just get the general form down there, and I kind of want to incorporate all the characteristics that you get with making a crappy mold out of plastic wrap. So all the wrinkles and the awkward joins and the little bits of plastic that's stuck in the plaster there, that's kind of all part of it. All my work it involves all those accidents that kind of get folded into the whole thing. So with the arm there, so there's a lot of sculpture in there. That's really how it started out. Just assembling bits and pieces of things that didn't really work out, or they kind of dead ends, or I just couldn't keep around anymore, so I had to chop up and mostly toss out. And the idea with this one is just kind of an accumulation. Like it's magnetic or a static charge or something, and just picking up bits and pieces and whatever all over the place. Well, that's my studio. And another thing that came into this that became a bigger part of everything else were these little pieces here, some of the wood bits and things that are joining some of the kind of weaker areas together.
Oh, they are.
So I wanted to integrate like the structural bits into the actual sculpture. It's supposed to be hidden part of it. And that kind of continues in things like the foot over there.
Can you talk about these toes?
Yeah,
You got a toe thing.
I love the toenails.
yeah, that was important.
Those are great toenails.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to the details. But just continuing the kind of bracing and support idea. I had all these paint cans of paint, that are all solidified. So I can do something with this. So, I had to cut it all out, and then I just stacked it all up, and it was kind of unstable. So I had to, find a way to get it all to hold together. And the kind of bracing and everything became a stronger part of this piece. And continuing down into the foot. I knew I was making a leg up here, but then I had that foot because it's fast enough. So I did another one of the plastic molds, poured everything into that, and continued that. And I also made little shims here.
Oh, yeah.
So I want this whole kind of theme of support and just helping it out to keep going.
What are these made out of? What is the, what is made out of?
These or these? This?
Yeah.
That's just pine, just sticks.
How do you join the joinery?
Those have little dowels in them.
Okay, so you're drilling a hole.
Yeah. For those.
Do they break a lot?
They do. It's incredibly fragile.
Have you ever considered that this is an exoskeleton?
Yeah.
I've seen people who've had injuries and had
less interesting. I mean, this is a much more interesting exoskeleton.
Yeah, it's like scaffolding or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
sort like that. But definitely, been thinking about that. How do you get things to hold together or what things holding together?
What are the toenails made out of?
Wood glue and white glue. I've been using for tons of things. Because I get sick of resin, for one thing.
Yeah, they're very shiny.
They're shiny and they're constantly changing color.
Yeah, they're interesting.
And they're based on your feet, apparently.
But then you have
Very large leg.
one of these, has the whole incorporating as many materials as possible. I think this one's the winner, actually, because the wall is
Yep. This one here
Yeah.
is an artwork in itself, the label.
It looks like marble.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. I wanted to take things in a slightly different direction with this and kind of do more to obscure the stuff that's like that, or send you down kind of a false path, just to make things a little more complex. And again, this is a shell. So it's kind of a cast of a leg, the warts of a leg, kind of like the back that goes back and forth between either one. Let's see what this. I don't know. I guess maybe just that the whole range of kind of refinements for finishing to the work, so I think it makes sense that we'll look at everything together, the body, and just be okay with the variety of ways things are put together, and kind of different levels of abstraction that come across. And another thing I was thinking about with this was a wasp nest, the way those are put together. So they have those bands, different color that would be, and they're just, I guess, it's just different materials that are just poured out there. I don't really know how they do it, but I think it's interesting to think about whether they have a little picture of a wasp nest or it's just some kind of automatic thing that happens because it's a wasp.
Just what they do.
Yeah, but it's related to what I'm doing in a way because I'm also pop-up materials and, I have a plan, but it's really loose and I kind of constantly have to revise as I go. And, I give materials a lot to say what's going to happen.
Is this kind of polished, or is it just sort of comes off the mold like that? Or?
It actually comes out the way it looks inside.
Okay.
And then I have to grind it down and sand it forever. So I took it down to like 2,000 grit, which is like car polish.
That's a lot of time.
So it takes a while. But I really wanted that one.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
It's worth it.
Hey, Chris, can you talk about the title of your exhibition? Okay.
Oh,
What
yeah.
that's all about?
Fallin Ditch, yeah, that's a song by Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band. And in a way, any of the songs off the album I was looking at could have worked just because of the way they're put together, which I think has some affinities with the way I put things together. Like instrumentally and lyrically, I think they're treating that book as like objects and putting them together in these weird ways that didn't really make a lot of sense, or at least at the time. So they're kind of collaged bits of different musical styles, and time signatures and just all this stuff. Just got jammed together with complete disregard for how it's supposed to be sung together.
Windshield wipers, right, that was part of it.
Yeah, that's
The
part of
rhythm of a
song,
windshield
yeah.
wiper.
That's why the rhythm for one song, yeah. So stuff like that. And then as far as the meaning of the song, it's about kind of just staying ahead of depression or not really letting darkness get you down. So that's related to this song just because it thinks about uncertainty and fragility, dealing with not so great times.
So I find it really interesting, like your choices, and so you're working like so abstractly, like you're making work and that like piece by piece, and so like, oh, how do you make the choice? I know you talked about this thing being paint, layers and layers of paint poured over a bottle.
Yeah.
And then whittled, and then like to make the choice, like I'm gonna put this here, and then I want to stick. I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, partially that was just composition. I like the symmetry thing about that, so I wanted to break that. And then the torso over there was first, and this is same idea up to a point, but I wanted to grow from that. I don't like repeating myself. Really, so I just want to put some new elements in there, or combine a bunch of ones that have shown up in different works into one piece. So I knew I wanted to paint in there somehow, and I wanted the shims in there, and this is kind of a Marvel thing happening again, like the leg. And yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just, at least initially, yeah, I guess I could say, one of the decisions. I wanted to do something with this cavity here. Something that really. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I can't tell you exactly where
it's not,
it is.
It's like I don't expect to have like an answer. It's just I find it really interesting and fascinating. I mean, you can really see like the artist's like mind working in these pieces, you know.
I hope so. Yeah.
I mean,
It's supposed to all be
all out
up
of your head, you know. It's not.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the
I love this.
what do you call that though?
It's just a head.
Just the head?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the same thing, kind of branching out, incorporating it in different ways. This is becoming more like a combination of different components. You know, like torso or leg or whatever, on their own kind of single way of moving. And I want to put a bunch of them together. But this was kind of a slow one. It just took a while to evolve, I guess. Just started with the shell. And then I knew I wanted something going on here to break it. It was going to be an entire kind of dome, but not so good. Got some more stuff going on with that. So, it's all very slow. I kind of have to take a break after I get to one point and come back to it. Just to feel like I'm going in the right direction. But, once I have something like an idea, like a head to make, it kind of fills in, I can kind of fill in the gaps. It's a vessel, and I can just put my weird stuff in there.
Kind of reminds me of, I think Hieronymus Bosch.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The bodies, I mean,
Yep.
I see these as bodies in hell or that sort of thing. And you told me when I asked you a week ago, you said, oh, those aren't bodies, and
I was surprised.
said they look like bodies.
They look like the
Yeah.
My theory.
One of them is the Tower of Babel, that's what it looks like, is the climbing the tower.
Oh, I never would have thought of that. But that's good. I'm glad.
Human suffering, right? That's what it's about, human suffering.
Partially, yeah.
Maybe.
That's how it's made.
That's right. Suffering.
Right, suffering, pain and suffering. We all go through. Oh, excuse me.
So what's up? Steve's guys. Yeah. Same stuff's going on here. Just put together. Got a little resin in it. I guess the one different thing about this is stick point there is going to be like water. So that is something that we can use in the future to see. Really thinking about sculpture as a drawing, we're drawing a sculpture. That might be useful, I don't know. And then this kind of odd one. The most abstract, but I think it works with everything else. Just
More
because-
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks aboriginal, it looks like a Maori stick, carved stick, except for the coloration of it's very different.
I haven't seen that.
It's kind of like a totem pole.
Yeah, yes.
Symbolic.
And they're very sacred, yeah. This one seems sacred too.
Does beauty play in your work at all? Like, are you considering beauty at all? Or like in the color or?
I don't think I think of beauty the way most people do. To me, beauty is just like right.
Beauty is what to you?
Right, correct. That's kind of what aesthetic means to me, is that it's done properly or it makes sense, maybe.
So what makes sense to you?
Just that it's a really clear way of building this. And a clear strategy for combining all these different materials and areas.
It has dandelion in it. Is that where this comes from, or?
The yellow or what?
I guess I don't see any dandelion, so. I'm trying
No,
to-
you're not going to see any of the thing in there. Trying to remember if I did this in any order or not.
Do you use a blender or something? Like,
Our house smells funny. He's always brewing something.
Yeah. Cooking up weeds or burning something in the oven.
This feels very earthy to me.
Oh, yeah,
You
definitely.
must be missing aspirin, Motrin, Thomas, all of those ingredients.
It's after you install, yes.
Turmeric. and that's what
Turmeric, yes.
Don't forget the lorazepam.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I just wander around the house picking up things or outside.
You're like a pro.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that's what's about the arm. Let's say that that's like a pro.
Yeah, it does. So have you ever, like, so you're mixing these things with, what's that stuff called again?
Hydrocal,
Yeah,
which is a
and
hard plaster.
so is there anything like ever like just not set up and you're like, oh, well, that never worked, like just like became soup?
Right. Yeah, sometimes it becomes very slow.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little soft. But mostly it's worked out fine. Never. It's just slow occasionally. And sometimes it kind of reverses colors too. Like if you mix it with beets, I think, you get some kind of magenta thing, but it turns blue.
Turns what?
Blue.
Blue.
Wow.
So a little chemical reaction there. Yeah. Yeah, but this is like one pole of representation going on here, going from representation to abstraction. Yeah, you know, I think the material, sometimes the way it's put together, keeps it in this family, definitely. But I want that to, you know, let me expand in either direction without having to make a choice of what I'm doing. Am I gonna representation?
It seems like there's a connection to construction, like with building scaffoldings and sort of different kinds of sort of, you know, assembly, like maybe factory assembly or something. And maybe that has got something to do with representation, because there's this process that's happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely about how things are put together. It's definitely about structure,
Right.
and construction. You know, really.
It's certainly not automated though.
No, it's
Wonderful.
So you do a lot of projects around the house. So,
fixing the house.
yeah, so that part of the construction, that, like maybe flows over a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like making things and fixing things, really. I've been doing that a lot in our house and every house we've owned. Over even the furniture and,
Yeah, he was when we first bought a house, he was in a phase where he'd make furniture, but you couldn't use any screws or nails. Everything had to be dovetailed and
yeah, so
Nice.
I try to incorporate that kind of stuff in
That's
here.
cool.
One way or another, you know, maybe to a small scale, or in some way you're not going to recognize, but I'm always thinking about how these things go together. It's like that contributes to the meaning along with what it's made of and what it makes sense.
Do you know about the staircase around the chapel in Santa Fe? It's a famous spiral staircase that is made without any nails, and it's like this, like mystery, miraculous.
Right. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, you can look it up.
I will.
This reminds me of sand dribbles,
Yep. Yeah. For a long
which I
time.
love to do. Sand dribbles in my day, but
That's exactly the same
Yeah.
way to build it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll do any way of building things. I don't care where it comes from.